this video, I'm dropping the sarcasm. Briefly, to honor those who made your species worth listening to. Greetings, sentimental sapiens. Today, we embark on something a little different. A tribute to the legends who traded their world tours for the great gig in the galaxy. 128 faces with thousands of stories, from household icons to brilliant souls lost in the liner notes of history. Your task: identify each musician by their photo. I'll keep my snark subdued. Well, mostly. After all, even an intergalactic genius can respect greatness when he sees it. Let's honor the sounds that shaped your planet, and see if your memory can keep tempo. Elvis Presley, 1935 to 1977. Glenn Campbell, 1936 to 2017. Dusty Hill, 1949 to 2021. Jerry Garcia, 1942 to 1995. Selena Quintanilla, 1971 to 1995. The Notorious B.I.G., 1972 to 1997. Nina Simone, 1933 to 2003. Mark Hollis, 1955 to 2019. David Bowie, 1947 to 2016. Luther Vandross, 1951 to 2005. Whitney Houston, 1963 to 2012. Taylor Hawkins, 1972 to 2022. Chuck Berry, 1926 to 2017. Tom Petty, 1950 to 2017. Irene Cara, 1959 to 2022. Etta James, 1938 to 2012. Robin Gibb, 1959 to 2012. Greg Allman, 1947 to 2017. Joe Diffie, 1958 to 2020. John Denver, 1943 to 1997. Chris Cornell, 1964 to to 2017. Jeff Beck, 1944 to 2023. Judy Garland, 1922 to 1969. Nate Dogg, 1969 to 2011. George Jones, 1931 to 2013. Kenny Rogers, 1938 to 2020. Adam Yauch, 1964 to 2012. Christine McVie, 1943 to 2022. Gord Downie, 1964 to 2017. Alan White, 1949 to 2022. Rick Ocasek, 1949 to 2019. Livon Helm, 1940 to 2012. Michael Jackson, 1958 to 2009. Chet Baker, 1929 to 1988. Bon Scott, 1946 to 1980. Jason Molina, 1973 to 2013. Aretha Franklin, 1942 to 2018. Ray Charles, 1930 to 2004. B.B. King, 1925 to 2015. Frank Zappa, 1940 to 1993. Ian Curtis, 1956 to 1980. Aaliyah, 1979 to 2001. Tim Bachman, 1951 to 2023. Tupac Shakur, 1971 to 1996. Lane Staley, 1967 to 2002. Marvin Gaye, 1939 to 1984. George Michael, 1963 to 2016. Dan Fogelberg, 1951 to 2007. Harry Chapin, 1942 to 1981. Michael Nesmith, 1942 to 2021. Liberace, 1919 to 1987. Keith Moon, 1946 to 1978. Jaco Pastorius, 1951 to 1987. Andy Williams, 1927 to 2012. Old Dirty Bastard, 1968 to 2004. Lemmy Kilmister, 1945 to 2015. June Carter Cash, 1929 to 2003. Avicii, 1989 to 2018. Jeff Healey, 1966 to 2008. Dolores O'Riordan, 1971 to 2018. Big Pun, 1971 to 2000. Joey Ramone, 1951 to 2001. John Lee Hooker, 1917 to 2001. Billie Holiday, 1915 to 1959. Keith Flint, 1969 to 2019. Lisa Marie Presley, 1968 to 2023. Danny Federici, 1950 to 2008. Barry White, 1944 to 2003. Rick Danko, 1943 to 1999. Bob Welch, 1945 to 2012. Paul Revere, 1938 to 2014. Phyllis Hyman, 1949 to 1995. Andrew Wood, 1966 to 1990. Naomi Judd, 1946 to 2022. David Crosby, 1941 to 2023. Jimmy Buffett, 1946 to 2023. Dusty Springfield, 1939 to 1999. Vic Chestnut, 1964 to 2009. John Coltrane, 1926 to 1967. Brian Jones, 1942 to 1969. Gary Rossington, 1951 to 2023. Don Williams, 1939 to 2017. The Big Bopper, J.P. Richardson, 1930 to 1959. Tina Marie, 1956 to 2010. Jim Croce, 1943 to 1973. Takeoff, 1994 to 2022. Ronnie James Dio, 1942 to 2010. Jerry Lee Lewis, 1935 to 2022. Glenn Frey, 1948 to 2016. Lisa Left Eye Lopez, 1971 to 2002. Elliott Smith, 1969 to 2003. Mark Linkous, 1962 to 2010. Burt Bacharach, 1928 to 2023. Pop Smoke, 1999 to 2020. Gordon Lightfoot, 1938 to 2023. Minnie Riperton, 1947 to 1979. Coolio, 1963 to 2022. Shane MacGowan, 1957 to 2023. Charlie Parker, 1920 to 1955. Randy Meisner, 1946 to 2023. Mark Bolan, 1947 to 1977. Chick Corea, 1941 to 2021. Olivia Newton-John, 1948 to 2022. Jam Master Jay, 1965 to 2002. Carl Wilson, 1946 to 1998. Screamin' Jay Hawkins, 1929 to 2000. Kirsty MacColl, 1959 to 2000. Florence Ballard, 1943 to 1976. Meatloaf, 1947 to 2022. Denny Doherty, 1940 to 2007. Neil Peart, 1952 to 2020. XXX Tentacion, 1998 to 2018. Robbie Robertson, 1943 to 2023. Patsy Cline, 1932 to 1963. Dimebag Darrell, 1966 to 2004. Greg Lake, 1947 to 2016. Lil Peep, 1996 to 2017. Hank Williams Sr., 1923 to 1953. Louis Armstrong, 1901 to 1971. Woody Guthrie, 1912 to 1967. Stan Rogers, 1949 to 1983. John Entwistle, 1944 to 2002. Gene Vincent, 1935 to to 1971. Phil Lynott, 1949 to 1986. Peter Tork, 1942 to 2019. Kurt Cobain, 1967 to 1994. Hank Snow, 1914 to 1999. John Lennon, 1940 to 1980. And there you have it, a gallery of legends whose music still vibrates through the cosmos. Whether you recognize them all or only a handful, you just revisited the souls who built your planet's soundtrack. Leave your score in the comments. I'm curious how much human history you've managed to retain. Tap like, subscribe, and come back for part 2, where even deeper cuts await. Until then, keep listening, keep remembering, and maybe evolve enough to appreciate true genius next time. Their notes built your world. Don't forget the tune. Melvin, Gone. Your foggy walnut has survived this long. Might as well roll the dice and see if your luck holds out on the next one.